Managing the candidate's access arrangements. Once the module has been set up, and the applications imported from the JCQ portal, the school can begin to manage their access arrangements in this module. The Students tab will list all the candidates that have access arrangements at the center. However, if the center is new to Exams Assist, then no candidates will appear. Therefore, it is important for the center to import their latest access arrangements from their MIS system. More information about this can be found in the first video in this playlist. Adding a candidate that doesn't require a JCQ application. If a candidate needs access arrangements for their exams, but this doesn't require JCQ approval. An arrangement such as a laptop. To add these arrangements, navigate to the Student tab, then select Actions, Add Student. The center can search from all students in the center. Once a candidate has been selected, the center can add the appropriate or multiple arrangements. For this example, we will select laptop and 25% extra time. As this arrangement has been approved by the center, we will allocate a start date. This will be the date this was approved by the center. As this arrangement will not expire, we can leave the end date blank. With this blank, the arrangement will still display in green, meaning the arrangement is in date. To assist the school when managing the access arrangements, it is possible to identify the arrangement type. If a candidate breaks their arm during an exam season, therefore they are unable to write, the center can assign a scribe for the season, assign a start and end date, which will be the duration of the season, then select medical or emergency as the type. Once the season is over, the candidate will no longer have a valid arrangement, therefore this icon will no longer appear for this candidate. This is a great feature as the center doesn't need to remember to remove the temporary or emergency arrangements at the end of a season. Finally, it's possible for the school to state if the candidate should only have an arrangement for a specific subject, or alternatively, should their arrangement be excluded from a single or multiple subjects. These subjects are ones that appear in the school MIS system, however, others can be manually added into School Workspace. These subjects are linked back to the subjects assigned to the candidates in the Entries tab for external exams, or the Timetable tab for internal exams. By using this function, it will mean that when an exam is created for that subject, this icon will now be grayed out. We will select that this candidate is not entitled to a laptop or extra time for mathematics. Once a maths exam is created in the future, the 25% extra time and laptop icon will not appear on the seating plan or candidate's card, but will appear in gray in the Access Arrangements tab to indicate they have the arrangement, but not applicable for this exam. For each set of access arrangements for each candidate, it's possible for the school to add a note and add an attachment. These attachments could be the evidence of needs, a great feature for the JCQ inspection, having all documentation stored centrally. How to add additional subjects into School Workspace. If there is a need to add additional subjects into School Workspace, so that a candidate can be included or excluded for an arrangement for that exam, navigate to School Settings, then Other Settings, Subject Lookup Table. From this pop-up box, the center can add and manage their subjects that appear in School Workspace. Adding a candidate that has a JCQ application. If a candidate has an application on the JCQ portal, then navigate to the Applications tab and then click on a candidate's name. If the candidate already has any access arrangements in Exams Assist, then these will appear in the list. To apply the start and end date and type in accordance with the application, simply deselect the arrangement and select again. This will then automatically populate the start and end date, and the type. If the application doesn't have an end date or if the start and end date are the same, then these will not apply to the access arrangement start and end date. A start and end date will need to be added manually. If required, the school can add additional arrangements for a candidate, arrangements that do not require approval. Therefore, the center can apply the start and end date for the arrangements approved by the JCQ, so these can be monitored. Then for the ones that don't require an application, the center can just assign a start date and leave the end date blank. How to view an expired application. When an application has expired, the access arrangements will be highlighted in red. This will indicate that the end date has lapsed. A new application will need to be applied for from the JCQ portal. Once a new application has been applied and approved, then a new file can be uploaded. Once uploaded, 2 applications will now appear within the candidate record. The center will now need to change the end date. There will be an option to apply this new end date to all arrangements that the candidate has. How to attach documents. To attach documents to a candidate such as the J8 form or evidence of needs, navigate to the Students tab, select a candidate, then upload the required documents. How to print access arrangements. To print a selection of access arrangements, navigate to the Students tab, filter the group of candidates to include in the report. Navigate to Selected, then print Selected, Access Arrangements list. How to remove access arrangements for multiple candidates. To remove access arrangements from multiple candidates, navigate to the Students tab, select a group of candidates, then Selected, clear access arrangements for selected. Downloading the Access Arrangements Summary. To download the Access Arrangements Summary, navigate to the Overview tab, then select Actions and download Access Arrangements. How to email access arrangements to candidate or parents. To email a selection of access arrangements to the candidates or parents, navigate to the Students tab and select the group of candidates that needs to be emailed. Navigate to Selected, then send email to parents or the students. To include a list of the candidates' access arrangements, just include a token in the body of the email. How can teaching staff view the access arrangements for candidates? Once the access arrangements have been updated in Exams Assist, it is possible for staff to view this information from their portal. Once the staff has logged into School Workspace, from their homepage, staff members are able to select a group that they teach. Once selected, select members, then the candidates they teach will appear and the access arrangements icons will appear under their name. This is great when the classroom teacher is planning exams or classroom-based tests.